Hey there, it's your host, Mara Glatzel, and you are listening to Even Here, Even Now, a podcast where we are devoted to sharing frank conversations and true stories about what it means to stay by your own side and meet your needs consistently, messily, and sustainably. Now, on to today's show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Even Here, Even Now. And I am incredibly stoked to have a very special guest with us today, Lindsay Mack. I have been a fan of yours for such a long time, and Lindsay has a book coming out and a tarot deck coming out. And I was like, please come on my podcast because I just use my podcast as a vehicle to get to hang out with cool people that I follow online, as we
Same.
all well know. Lindsay, welcome to the podcast. Will you tell us a little bit about your work? What's
Yes.
your favorite part about the work that you do?
Yes, this is a goddamned honor. I'm such a fan of yours. It was the greatest thrill, legit, to have your email. I was like, yes, immediately, yes, yes, yes. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Um, so I'm an intuitive tarot teacher, death doula, whatever, writer. I do many different things. I'm the founder of Tarot for the Wild Soul. I have a podcast. I teach people a particular style of tarot that I created called Soul Tarot. I have a book coming out and a tarot deck. Oh, my favorite thing that I do always is my favorite thing to do is to teach people. That's my favorite thing. I can't believe I get to do it for my work. I love it. My particularly favorite thing to do in like a non-heroic way, like I don't think like egoic pleasure from it, but I have a real um adoration and appreciation and love for one, helping people to untie complicated knots, like difficult card pairings, things where people are like, this doesn't make sense, because I feel like I really do try to see the sense in everything, even though it might not make sense tarot related. And it is a real joy to support people finding their own way through the knots. And I get to do that like every week. It's the greatest. That really fills my cup up. I love it.
Well, before we got on the recorded part of this podcast, I was fangirling about Lindsay's new book, which is really fabulous.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I mean, I think I want to say here that it is so accessible, by which I mean I felt like I could like reach my hands out and wrap my arms around it in a way that I've just never experienced with any of the interactions that I've had with tarot before in my life. And um I can't wait to talk to you because I think this is a time where we're all looking for something to reach out and hold on to
It's for
in
sure.
big and small ways. And really thinking about a tarot practice as a support and a tool for tending to yourself during wild times. But I want to start with, this is a wild time for you, right? You have a book coming out,
Hmm.
you have a young child, you've got a whole business, you got a lot going on. What does it look like for you to take care of your needs these days? Like, what just it in the totally tangible and mundane and magical
Yeah.
whatever realm applies, but what does it look like for you right now?
So this is, and I promise I won't weave tarot into everything, but this is a Nine of Wands time, in that Nine of Wands is like, baby, you're in labor, you're running a marathon, there is no stopping, there's no big stop coming for a long time. So you got to figure out how to take naps between contractions. Try to figure out as best as you can how to make those work for you, how to maximize those. So right now, like, there is no extended break. There's nothing. It's one of the fullest times of my life. And I'm really trying to honor and strike the balance between not complaining about that because it's a massive privilege to be this busy. Um, and a lot of these things are like the deepest dreams of my life being fulfilled. Like I have a healthy child, I'm partnered, I'm thrilled to be working. I have a book coming out in a deck, like it's amazing. And it's also as a chronically ill person, a person with very diminished capacity to start with. It's a with like health problems right now and perimenopause rearing its head. It's a lot. It's a tall order. So I'm working really, really hard right now on I have a physical list on my phone whenever I'm like, oh God, I just want to clear my day, which I just can't do right now. Um, there are little things. I'm such an olfactory person. Scent really helps. It moves the needle in a big way. Going outside, I don't always have the time and I don't always have the ability to go out and take a walk depending on the day. But if I can, I really try to move the needle to do that. Just going outside. Today I had a very limited window between like seeing my child off to school and coming back and being present for this. And I was like, just go outside and sing. That really helps too. I'm a water person. I never met a bath, a spa, a hot spring that I didn't love. So just trying to make time to get my body into something warm that's always been a resource for me. That's so important. I'm also like I have a body who has very particular, super particular uh like food sort of requirements that don't always align with what I want. So trying to find that balance is so important right now because I really do notice a difference. Um and I'm in bed by 8:30 and we break all the rules that everyone tells you to do. We have a TV in our bedroom, and we've been really Little House on the Prairie problematic show, but Little House on the Prairie reruns have been really moving the needle lately. So like I just really try to Parks and Rec has also been helping. So yeah, we're not. I'm trying really hard to just make things work for me in the midst, you know? Because it won't always be precisely like this. That's the only thing that's helping right now. I think it would help if I was off my phone a little bit more. Um, I'm finding it very difficult to do that, but that's also the reality of the present moment politically and otherwise. Um, how about you? What is helping you right now? I'm curious.
I love the idea about breaking the rules. I also have been taking to my bed with television, which is,
Yeah,
you know,
it's medicine.
I've been rewatching Grace and Frankie, which is a
Mm,
big time favorite of mine.
mm.
And it is, I feel like I'm having a total love affair with my bed because I got new sheets and
Oh,
I've been just like they are kind of like terracotta and purple. I wanted it to look like the sunrise.
oh,
And I've been watching Grace and Frankie in bed, and I have like a hot, like a electric blanket that you plug in. One of those ones that gets so hot, it's like it has a timer on it so that you don't forget it and leave it
burn
on.
your house. Yeah.
I bring that into my bed.
Mm,
And yeah, I'm also a big fan. After I was like a lifelong anti-bath person,
mm.
and
Welcome.
yeah, I don't know what. I mean, I was a water person. I'm a Pisces. I love the ocean, but I am now a bath person. And last night I was in the bath, like the bath was well cold, and I was still just like hanging out. And so those things have really been helping. I'm also a person who has food issues, like foods needs that are not necessarily like the most fun for me.
Yes.
But my number one way that I take care of myself is eating 3 times a day and like at a certain time. And I never want to, but I do it anyway because it is like the glue that holds me together. And And I want to say for myself, this is kind of a wild season for me. And what I feel very grateful for is having done this work for a long time. Like, I have like a set of basics that I'm like, okay, things are getting crazy, like back to the basics. And having that is such a useful tool, just generally speaking. It's like, okay, bedtime at a certain time, 3 meals a day, got to be drinking more water than coffee, got to
Yes.
be getting my face in the sun, all
Yes.
of these things. To have a baseline to return to is such a gift because I never want to do any of those things when I need them.
Yeah.
But of course, none
Yeah.
of us
No.
do.
No.
But we do need
We
during
do.
this time. Mm. So, uh, to say, there was a piece in here where you talk about you were like, check out the tower chapter, and so many of us are in really like dealing with so much right now, and there was this line that you had, which was the long path from the tower to the sun. And as I was reading it, I just recalled so many times where it was like, the sun is not going to rise. This
Hmm.
is going to be the time. I'm going to be in the dark forever. It's like postpartum with my first child. Like, this will
Same.
be the night that lasts for the rest of my life. For some reason, this will be the night that the sun doesn't come. And I mean that kind of both literally and also metaphorically. And I think for so many of us right now, we are in it in a macro way and in a micro way.
Hmm.
And you talk about how every time you need a gentle re anchoring, you return to your deck.
Hmm.
And I would love it if you kind of wanted to share a little bit more about what that looks like the noticing
Hmm.
of, I'm way out here and I can like reconnect with this thing that is useful for me in a very gentle way. It seems gentle.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really try to look at my tarot deck um, as I don't know where this comes from exactly, um, why I feel like I have the audacity to do this. I don't know, but I my deck really became what I needed it to become, and I also think it was showing me that it could be this. I think that anytime my worldview or my belief system or my thinking is reflective of something that keeps getting tighter and more narrow, my deck opens it because I ask it to. And I think your deck can do whatever you want it to because it is, I think the tarot is such a great tool, right? Because it can really accompany you in whatever you want to do, right? It skews neutral. It's really what we bring to it. I think it's very powerful, but also it's just a deck of cards without us. So, for me, what I really like is to ask, in this moment, I'm believing this. What else might be happening? What else might be possible? In this moment, I don't see any resource, any support, any break, any hope, or whatever might be going on. What else might be possible? That's really, I think I see it for me in terms of my practice and my belief system as a way to be a mirror for what's possible in nature, to be what's possible in terms of like God, lowercase g, like, um the hopefully beloved, unconditionally loving support that I know is in this world within me, that gets really overcrowded by the the volume of what it is that we're going through, and that is something that I need because of my personal internal makeup and the way my mind works. I need regular reminders from something a little bit more large than those voices to remind me of what's true. And even now, even though I've been doing this work for such a long time, um, I still proceed often. You were talking about like, I don't want to, but I do it. Like there is, I, I proceed often from truth that doesn't feel like it, right? Like I don't always believe the sun will rise, but I've lived long enough and I trust my cards enough and I trust my guides enough to know that they're more right than me usually. So that part gets to come along with me. It just doesn't get to make the decisions. It doesn't have to go away. So the re-anchoring is anytime I catch myself, and the catching oneself is the hardest part of it, of course. But anytime I'm catching myself believing what feels a little bit too harsh and punitive and critical and doomsday to be true, I really like to um, tell on it. Like I don't like to isolate with it. I like to just be like, my brain is saying this. What might be really going on? And there's usually a very helpful and very divergent mirror that arises that is so different from what my brain is telling me. Yeah.
Yeah, something that felt like such a sweet invitation is that it is a tool that you can access and utilize within your relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes, I know for myself, when I'm in such a vulnerable place, even accessing support outside of myself can feel like too tall of an order. And I really like to play, whenever I'm talking about getting needs met, I'm always thinking about strategies that include other people, of course, because we're not islands. We do need other people,
Yeah.
but strategies that we can utilize in our relationship with ourselves. Because as an anxiously attached person, my preference is always like, I want somebody to pull me out of this. Like I want somebody to,
Yeah.
save me, rescue me. And so it's been such a long practice for me to really develop tools and practices that I can do with myself to be able to stay in discomfort and just kind of be in the question with myself. And so, something that I loved thinking about this kind of like gentle re-anchoring is it's always like, what can I do instead of phoning a friend? Not because
Mm.
phoning a friend is there's anything wrong with that. I certainly phone many friends all the time. But I always want to have like a basket of things that's
Yeah.
available to me that if it's the middle of the night or I'm afraid or I don't know what to do or that feels solid just within me to
Mm-hmm.
access.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like there's so much potential here for people to have to develop their tarot practice as something that they can do to support themselves that connects them to something greater, but it's like you don't have to go into a church to get it.
No, hell no. No way. Yeah. My motto is, and again, this is informed of my experience as a trauma survivor, as somebody who lives with OCD, panic disorder, etc. If I can't get to wisdom and a reorientation and a recentering, like on the subway, on the bathroom floor, it's not going to work for me. So, like, it really just needs to be completely frills free and really able to come with me anywhere. And I think our decks can do that. And it just really depends on the questions that we're asking of it, you know? Um, I'm also a huge fan. There's only like it's a big part of my practice with Soul Tarot, but it's only like a tiny part of the book. I'm also a very big fan of choosing your own cards. like having your own um, anchor points and resources for support that you are rooting into certain cards that are a reminder for you, like, ooh, when I see this card, work with this card, I link with X. And I'm reminded, like, oh yeah, that is very useful to me. So we don't have to go through the process of even pulling, because even that can be too much sometimes. So many different ways.
Yeah, I actually really liked that. That it was a short part of the book, but it was really powerful.
Hmm.
The tarot anchoring
Yeah.
practice,
Yep.
and I wanted to ask you if there was a card that you were working with right now.
I think in this season, the card that I'm working with right now, there are two: Knight of Swords and Queen of Pentacles. Knight of Swords, in that, Knight of Swords can be the fastest of all the knights. Knights are movers, right? But it's not always. Knight of Swords is really very uniformly like you really can't think about it. You just have to do it. You just have to do it. Like, don't take up your free moments being like, oh my God, how will I get through the next few weeks? You just have to you just have to put one foot in front of the other, so to speak, or move one moment at a time. And Queen of Pentacles, because Queen of Pentacles for me in my practice is one, remembering that there's always something larger than you holding you, even if you're not immediately aware of it. There's always the floor, the chair, there's always something that can be a representative for mother, for parent, um, wise figure that is holding you even without your awareness, even without you asking for it, which is important for me. And two, Queen of Pentacles is about really bespoke nourishment. So, for example, like I've been a bath person since 1984, baby, forever. I can't remember there being a time where I wasn't like, I'll take to the showers, I'll take to the bath. Um, that's my medicine. But some people, they'll go for a run. It would never occur to me to run in my whole life. I've never been a runner, never have really enjoyed that, even as a kid. So um, Queen of Pentacles is about identifying exactly what you and I were talking about. Like, I really need this. I know this really helps. It might be a pain to get to it, to make it, to whatever, but I know, wow, it's going to nourish me. So, and it's about not comparing that nourishment and really just giving yourself what you need. So, those are the two anchors that are holding me up right now.
Mhm. Thanks for sharing. I love the idea of like really, really, really bespoke care
Oh, yeah.
because so often, and I feel like I run like a school for self-care dropouts because I have clients the world over who are like, I've tried all the things and none of it works. And it's because we get all these messages about how to take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
but care is relational. And if you don't have a relationship with yourself, if you're not willing or able to be with your truth and your needs, then the care is always going to kind of miss the mark because it's not responsive to what is required.
Hmm.
And so I just love that idea of what the care that is needed. I'm thinking about how um, you talk about how cards are an invitation
Hmm.
and not, a command or a decree, or they
Hmm.
say this is absolutely what's going to happen,
Hmm.
but an invitation into maybe what's needed in the moment or what's needed in your relationship with yourself. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about that because I think that's a really beautiful piece of your work that
Thanks.
is very, it feels so grounded. It's like very in the present moment, how we can utilize our decks to be with what is
Hmm.
versus trying to future cast into like what's coming. And you know
Yeah, so I do feel really passionate about this one because I think, oh my gosh, I have so much to say. I'll try to keep it relatively chill for the sake of this conversation. Okay. So first and foremost, For those of us who do not want or are not served by the pursuit of clear outcomes to situations, this style of reading that I teach is a real balm, because trying to sense into next steps is frankly a skill and a gift some people do have and they do utilize with their decks. I do not, and a lot of people do not, and a lot of people might not choose to. And I think the presumption is like we use tarot to divine what's going to happen, when the truth is we don't have to, nor is it particularly a very consistent predictor. And I go for consistency because my nervous system craves that. And I think what we've tried to do, or what I think the great thought leaders and scholars of tarot have tried to do, who've paved the way for me to do this work, and I respect so many of them. But what they've either tried to do or tried to break the mold a little bit around, or tried to sort of fall in line around, is this idea that like anyone can do tarot. You can understand it. Cups are love, pentacles are money. There's been this shorthand that has been regressive to a certain extent. And this idea that when a card comes up for you, it's going to tell you what to do and it's going to tell you what's going to happen. And that's not anyone's fault that that's been a perspective, because some people actually do have a really medicinal closed practice that operates in that fashion that might have been inherited. A lot of Romani tarot readers, like a lot of they literally invented cartomancy, which has been appropriated. So it's a beautiful practice that some people just have. And I think it's beautiful. But for those of us who, again, might not want it, our cards may not work that way. We may be a little activated by that idea, we might be overwhelmed by that idea. There's another way, and this is one, my approach is one invitation, as it were, of that. And the truth is, I also think from an ethical standpoint, the future isn't fixed, that there are elements that absolutely we're all walking toward, and we can presage, we can sense into, we can receive. Like intuition works in tandem with broad prediction, right? We can get hits and clarity on certain things, but like how we'll get there, how exactly it will show up, we don't always know that. So I think both can coexist. But the idea of tarot being an invitation honestly came from my own relationship as an intuitive with connecting with my guides, because guides don't ever command or demand. They invite. They recognize like this is your free will. Like you can make choices. We're never going to tell you exactly what to do. So even if you don't believe in or connect with the idea of a quote guide, the whole sense of you, I mean, I don't know, this life is an invitation. Like we've been told for so many years through religion, through whatever, like we want to be told what to do, and we're never going to get that. So the tarot is, I think, inherently, it can be pretty intense and directed. And I think no matter what, we can always say no. So I think, I think it stands to reason that every card is an invitation. And I think there's something about working with it that way for me, because I've been reading for over 30 years. And I remember when I started to read and taught myself, my readings just didn't work. They just slid away from me. I was just like, some of these things really land, some of them don't. And it wasn't until I started letting myself ask different questions that I was like, oh, okay, there's something about this that really rings true. And part of it is that I'm not looking precisely for an answer. I'm looking for more clarity about what's here. And I can't necessarily see that because of all kinds of different things. Yeah, I'm a really big fan. One of my teachers, Michelle, always used to say, we don't need to be all in. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to be passionate. We don't have to feel it all. We just need to be willing to consider. That's it, willing to consider. And so I kind of look that way at the tarot too, like willing to consider. There might be more clarity, more support, more direction, and I'm willing to receive it. I'm also willing to say no to it. So that was terribly long, but in a nutshell, I think that's a powerful thing. Um, One of the great harms, I think, that this shorthand, among many, many other things that have just really not been super helpful for anyone, that this sort of shorthand idea in the last 100 or so years that tarot's been written about is like it's taken the autonomy out of it. Like this idea that you can say yes or no, and that there's a wide range of possibility that's present in all of these cards. And it's really up to you as to how you'd like to work with it or not.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that answer so much. Something that I was thinking about as I was reading different parts of your book was the idea of how seductive it is to go away from this present moment.
I know.
And how just seductive it is to like get look for any kind of information that brings me away from where I am. And a really important part of my personal practice is figuring out how to be with myself in the discomfort. And what I've noticed in ways that I've used tarot before in other times of my life, it's very much like, take me from here to there. I want to
Yes.
go to there. Give me any information that I can get about what is out there,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so uncomfortable to be here now with what is. And I so resonate with that idea that you shared at the beginning about like it's getting narrower and narrower in here. By in here, I mean in my mind. It's like the scope, everything is just kind of closing in because it's uncertain and it's uncomfortable. And we get into our own kind of like negativity loops and just like get mired down in our stuff. And so that just really resonates with me as like utilizing your tarot practice as a way to bring more, kind of like crack the door open to this
Mm-hmm.
space here. It's like, can I bring in some light? Can I bring in some extra guidance? Can I bring in some, like just like expand this space in here versus thinking about it as a way to like get me to a future that I would much prefer to be in
Yeah.
than this place.
Yeah.
Um, there's something, it's just like I laugh because I so cherish the part of me that's like, get me the fuck out of here.
Me
Like
too.
I want to be in that future place, but it is so, just over the course of my life with experience, having learned, it's like I got to figure out how to be here where I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be.
Yeah.
And whatever I can access that makes being here richer, more dynamic for me, more like just kind of expanded, serves me wherever
Mm-hmm.
it is.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. My style is I used to have a course called Tarot for What Is. It's just tarot for whatever is arising. And I would say, like, you just naming what you did, this is not for you, but regularly, a regular part of my practice, so resonate with what you're saying is, I don't want to be here in this moment. What might help me to stay with what's here? Like, I'm not interested in, like, again, I think I've been teaching for a really long time. I've had the pleasure and the privilege to be teaching tarot professionally for 11 years this year. And I think one of the biggest things, um, unsolicited advice that I could give, certainly not to you, but to anyone listening to this, is like you're allowed to let your tarot deck or any kind of spiritual helping practice come to you. Like if it requires solemnity and ceremony, I think that's really important. But if you're believing it does, if you're believing that it requires a certain reverence, that's just the wound in all of us where church came in and took over for forest. And that's everyone's. I'm not beyond that wound myself. That's everyone's. work that they're doing. So yeah, you like whatever the way that tarot has really burst open and come alive for me is when I just started asking it what I really needed in the moment rather than beating around the bush. It was a big act of vulnerable. Well, it was hugely intimate and vulnerable to be like, can you hang with what I've got? Because I'm going to give it to you. And it really does. It really did for me. Um, but when I tried to make a whole thing out of it, it really just kind of fell flat. So I so understand. Like all of my resources, like I'm like, you're gonna come down deep here and you're gonna go up real high. And if you can't hang, that's cool. But like, you know, I'll put you to the test for sure.
Yeah, I thought some of my the most enjoyable parts of the book for me were when you were talking about like how to interface with your deck, and it's like just talk to the deck directly. And this is like when people are always like, "How do you have a relationship with yourself?" I'm like, I am talking to myself all day.
All
Like
day
I'm
long.
literally just as if I were talking to you, I'm talking to me inside of my
Hmm.
head and also sometimes out loud.
Yeah.
Um, but also like shuffle it a little bit, like do like not precious about it,
Hmm.
which really appealed to me. But the part that appealed to me the most was really like the permission to show up messy or to show up exactly as you are, to
Hmm.
not have to be like a clear vessel or clean or somehow organized and not bring your negative energy to the practice, like really the permission in there to be like you don't have to perform to
Hmm.
access this support. You don't
Yeah.
have to perform to utilize this practice. And I wonder if you could talk about that.
Yes. Thank you for seeing that and naming that. It's a huge passion of mine. Um, yeah, I think that it's again a holdover from organized religious, like again, it lives in all of us, this idea like I got to get cleaned up before I go to the holy. And I think we go to the holy to get cleaned up. I think we go to the holy to be held. I think we go to the holy to not have an answer, to try to get an answer, to be witnessed. Um, I think that, and this is not a call out or a call in of anyone. I do not stand above this. I stand within it in the braid of all of us who are trying to reweave a new tapestry within our own lived experiences and nervous systems. I think that the holdover in our death phobic culture and in our incredibly ableist culture um, causes tremendous harm to everyone. And I think that this weirdly is a way that death phobia and ableism show up. Like I have to somehow get it right and tight before I go before the audience of my beloved spirit kin. And let's say you don't believe in any of that shit. Like just coming to yourself, because the deck doesn't require anything. Like you bought it off a website. That's really like it lives in you. So it's not anybody's fault. Not anybody's fault, right? And I think so many of us, I mean, oh my God, the experiences of it taught me at a very young age, like as a helping professional, I never want anyone to feel like, ugh, I gotta like clear their negative energy out of here. Like you can be as messy as you need to be. I've got me, you've got you. Like I'm good with that. So I the expectation for me is that, well, you're beloved witness. Like, why would I need to be any other way than how I am? And I think that's the paradoxical missing link here is that we go to these tools, to people, to helping practices and professionals and resources, ideally messy, so that there can be either a witnessing or a recentering. Like, very difficult to show up rooted and like I then we're just reinforcing this idea like to be accepted, loved, helped, heard. I have to perform, just as you said. And I have, I mean, I really think like tarot is a really interesting thing. Again, I don't purport to be any kind of like, even though I've written a book and I do teach, I'm also a student of the craft. Like I feel like I know a lot, but like I don't know anything. I'm still totally learning, not an expert. But also technically I guess I do know a lot. So that said, just in the spirit of it, I feel like I have a beginner's mind always. But I will say there was such an unlocking that happened when I stopped trying to perform. When I caught that, it unlocked for me. It started to tell me a lot more about what it could be capable of holding. And I know that I'm not special. So I know that if it worked for me, it will work for other people too. You know, it's a powerful thing if you read with a deck of any kind, to show up and be like, I feel like I have to get cleaned up and I was sort of invited to try this and I feel like I'm going to invite in a negative energy, but I don't know. Because that's a lot of people's fear. Like if I'm not cleaned up, I'll somehow access something that's quote low vibrational, which again, I just want to gently invite people into that. It's just ableism. It's just death phobia. It is. No one's low vibe because they're sick, because they're sad, because they're grieving. You're not. You're not. And you're not going to attract anything like that to you if you just show up with what is and ask for help and support from any energy out there within you and outside of you that wants to help. You're only going to get support. But you can, I think, where a powerful flowering really happens is if that's named. I'm scared to do it, but I'm open. What might help me with this? Like getting as meta as possible rather than trying to supersede the now can really help. I think it can be an incredibly powerful tool to untether even this wound. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I was thinking as you were speaking about how I have a 9-year-old daughter who I have given the invitation to of like, okay, well, we're gonna go, like you have an extremely bad attitude right now. And we're gonna go to the library and you're like welcome to bring your bad attitude to the library. Like you're
Yeah.
welcome to bring your bad attitude everywhere that we go, but we're like, we have a few things we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And just like how transformational that permission has been for her to be like, okay, I don't have to be like on my best behavior to do the
Mm-hmm.
things we need to do during the day. I
Yeah.
can be however it is that I am and, keep kind of like clunking along through the
Mm-hmm.
things. And what just strikes me is how we hold out on ourselves
Mm.
in so many ways by being like, you got to get your shit together to access whatever it is that you need. And when we need it the most, it's such an act of kindness to be like, you can rock up to this, whatever the practice is. However, with your bad attitude, with your fears, with your messiness, with your ambivalence,
Yeah.
and and you don't even have to like it or believe in it necessarily to try it,
Totally.
and just how expansive it can be to just be like, you get to try things and you
Yeah.
don't have to earn them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Lindsay, it has been so amazing having you here today. I could talk to you for a very long time.
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
wondering if there's anything you want to leave us with, any last words or thoughts before we wrap up.
Oh my God. Well, this has been just again a complete joy. Thank you for having me. You know, I think really just reiterating what we were just talking about, it's not a metaphor to say that the messy parts of you are the most important compass for an expansive connection with any helping resource. Any helping resource. And if you can play with the willingness to consider that that part could actually help to reveal and bloom open many different things in your life, it will probably be very fruitful. It's a tall order for a lot of folks, but that's what I'll leave folks with. The mess is the medicine. It really is. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, Lindsay, tell us, when does Tarot for the Wild Soul come out?
Yes, so
There's a book, there's a deck.
there is.
They come out on the same day, I think,
They
right?
they do. They do. And you can pre-order both. So Tarot for the Wild Soul, the book, and the Soul Tarot deck, both of which have illustrations by the incredible Chelsea Granger, um, come out on May 19th. You can pre-order them anywhere. On April 15th, we announce my book tour. So if you're in like New York City or Chicago or Austin or LA or Portland, like come through, come through. Be great to see folks. That's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will say that the book and the deck are beautiful.
Thank
They're
you.
really such a stunning resource for
Thank
people.
you.
I cannot wait to get my hands on my own. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to you for taking the time to hang out with us today.
My God, thank you for having me. You're the best. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Even Here, Even Now with Mara Glatzel. If you want my support in learning to stay by your own side and nourish your needs, dance on over to maraglatzel.com/quiz to take my quiz to figure out what you need right now and receive my best tools for how to meet those needs with a greater sense of ease and confidence. If you love today's show, please leave us a rating or review wherever you subscribe to this podcast. It helps more than you know. And as always, permission loves company. If there's a human in your life that you think can benefit from this conversation, I would be so grateful if you shared it with them. Thank you. See you next time.